Hey, welcome to week 3. This is Dr. John Bush for the process. That's me. This is my matchups. Please check my snaps, targeting articles at Fake Pigskin, and give my fellow podcaster D Mike his value article. Give that a looks over as well. I think there's interesting uh, aspects there in the material he's using. And please turn into our podcast on occasion if you get a chance. So, what I'm going to do today is go over the matchups with the metrics that I use, at least to frame each matchup to kind of get some little bit deeper perspective into the games this week. And so, without further ado, here we are. This is the first game. We'll cover all of them. So, in the first block is the two participants. It's Kansas City versus the Chargers, and the predicted score 34-21. So when you add those up, that's a pretty high scoring, right? It's a high scoring game. So the second block is using combining some my material and Vegas, and I do this earlier in the week, so I don't know what the final spread is. Good luck on gambling. Spread is, at the time I did this earlier in the week, was like 6.5 points, basically a touchdown, and the over and under mark was around 55. So I consider that a high scoring game for PPR and whatnot. That should be a lot of points and key players. This is the kind of game that you move towards, especially in tie breaking. And especially if you're deciding on the pass catching side as well. I think it's pretty clear that you will get points on both sides, but KC, with that high score, it's very possible a player or two gets multiple scores. So this could be some really sweep the board kind of game. And if you play daily fantasy sports, I would definitely be looking hard in here, maybe even a little bit deeper down on the pecking order and some of the players there. The next block, the final block, is the defense against the position. I've nicknamed that DAPs. I have taken my information and basically scaled it on a scale of 0, which is very hard, or even minus numbers, very hard, to 100, very easy. I've colorized all the categories from red to green, and the higher the number, the better the matchup for the position here. So it's a positional lens that we look at here. So the way to read that is first team is, here's the team, home or away. So the Chargers are playing at home. And I think, what is that for gambling? Is that about a -3 just for being away from your home base? So that never helps the cause. Their opponent is KC. I colorize their opponent by the defense. So KC is a little loose here. That's a light green. They're not the loosest, but they give points. Okay, if you saw last week's game with Baltimore, they gave points. So overall offense is 68. So that means it's 18% above average. So that's not bad. And so the Chargers should have some point advantages here with their players. Doesn't mean they'll win, but they're going to have all the opportunity they can handle to grab points and try to keep it close. So I think Vegas is pretty much saying, okay, there's going to be a lot of points scored anyway, regardless of defenses. So they're kind of weighing the defense less than the offense in this scenario. I understand that. So the next category, and notice I bracketed here by the RB, so rushing kind of, and maybe even pass catching running backs here. So Chargers, Eckler gets 100. That's the easiest he's probably had in his first 2-3 weeks. So if Eckler doesn't get a score and doesn't get you lots of points, a plethora of points, how about that for some wordsmithing? I don't know what's going on. I guess if the game was at home with a 100 DAP, then that would be the best of the best. It's not bad. I anticipate early anyway, they'll try to stick with him. I guess the only thing you worry about is if the game gets out of hand and they just go, long field passing kind of scenario. Quarterback gets a 76. That's a sweet situation as well. 26 points above average. Nice. So Herbert should do well. Tight ends, Jared Cook could be a red zone target. He might be somebody I would stream this week. Kansas City does have a little bit of a strong defense when it comes to the wide receivers at 31. So it's 19 points below average. So Allen and Williams are going to have to break through that. And if they can, this game could be a lot closer. But I think the Ouija board is saying it's going to be more passing from the backfield and shorter passes or to the tight end kind of thing. And Allen and Williams will probably get their shot, but I don't know if there are 2 touchdown wide receivers there. Not sure. Vegas thinks there's going to be 3 touchdowns. So Eckler, maybe Herbert runs one in. So maybe Allen or Williams gets a score or 2, or maybe Cook slips in and gets a score. Hard to figure that out. But this is our guide. Kansas City, supposedly the Chargers are tough. 31 overall offense DAP, so that's tough. Kansas City hasn't had a cakewalk here. They've had to fight. Unfortunately for them, their running back actually gets an 85, which is, you would think under most conditions, CEH would have a favorable situation, but he is just not being used enough. Maybe Kansas City tries that. If they get ahead, he can get a garbage touchdown, but I would be cautious. But I think he could be somebody that might be contrarian in a tournament DFS play, maybe. Mahomes gets 2. That means it's going to be one of the toughest matches he'll see of the year. So we'll see. He's done fairly well in those conditions. Kelsey gets an average game. So an average Kelsey game is at least 1 score, maybe 2. Tyreek Hill is going to fight through a -2. So he's going to have to fight for his touchdown. And what is that, 34? So that's about 6 touchdowns. So Kelsey gets 2. Maybe Holmes runs one in. Maybe Tyreek Hill. When you look at the defense and then look at the 34 points, it seems like somebody else is going to have to score besides the usual suspects. So I guess there's some depth on those wide receivers. They kind of came into play last week a little bit more than usual. So maybe Hill gets a lot of the attention and opens up for the other wide receivers. That may be a funny stack in DFS play. I don't know. I don't really play a lot there, but there you go. The kicker gets a good shot, 71. The only thing that worries me is the defense. The numbers look strong, and KC is at home, though, and that helps the cause. I just don't know if it's going to be 5 touchdowns. This may be closer than people think. Okay, but that's what the metrics are saying here for that. Next game, Seattle, Minnesota, 29-27. Basically, it's a coin flip. Vegas says it's high scoring, so there you go. Seattle is favored, even if they're away, so I don't know. Seattle gets Minnesota, which is a really easy defense, and that's why part of the prediction of the high scoring. And looking ahead, Minnesota gets an easy defense as well. Seattle versus a 90, and Minnesota gets a 75. So the overall flavor is whoever's got the ball last wins the game kind of scenario. Could go to overtime. I mean, this is just going to be a firefight. So that probably means it's not. But that's what, we have the metrics, right? There it is. Carson gets an average game, so he can get a score here. Wilson gets a 92, so he should. And look at his wide receivers there. Lockett and Metcalf get 100, so they should score early and often. Tight end gets an average game. I'm not looking to play, but it wouldn't surprise me if they slip in a red zone tight end. Everett, I guess. Minnesota, it's all about Dalvin Cook. Look at 120. That's off the board. That's off the charts. Easy. So this looks like Minnesota plays Dalvin Cook. If he's injured or if he's played a lot and he is kind of having some injury, you might want to consider Madison for a daily fantasy sports play. That may be a tricky play. Quarterback's about an average, 46, a little bit below. The tight end hadn't done a lot, so I'm not looking for that. So Thielen and Jefferson are going to earn their pay at a 34. So this looks like a Dalvin Cook game. And if he can hold up, do well, and maybe Madison slip in there, that may take the pressure off the wide receivers, and they may get their scores later in the game if Minnesota's trying to catch up. So this could get, I think it's going to stay close throughout, so that's what I think the scenario is here. So I think that's what's happening. Rams versus Tampa Bay. Another you pick 'em. Rams are slightly favored because basically they're at home. But it's another firefight. Who's got the ball last? Brady's going to have to work hard for his money this time, his next ring. Okay? So Rams are thought to stay in it, maybe even be favored because Tampa Bay has been a little leaky. They've stopped the run, but can't stop the pass. So the Rams fighting Tampa Bay. People are talking about Henderson or Michelle. That's a 22. I think this game is all about the Cup and Woods and the tight ends. And here we go. And the quarterback, Stafford, 79. Everything says pass, pass, pass. 4 touchdowns, Wouldn't surprise me 4 passing touchdowns here. So this could be a multi-score game again for Cup. Woods may slip in there. Maybe a Woods week. I don't think you can not play either one, folks. Stafford certainly looks fine. Tampa Bay gets one of the toughest defenses, 44. The running game gets a 44, a little bit below average. So probably Fournette, I guess. Jones, hard to tell. Giovanni, I mean, it's been all the Brady passing. And of the game scripts, Gronk gets a 56, so that's an average. So an average Gronk means at least a score, but he could do 2 as well. Brady's got a 37. He's going to have to work, and Evans and Godwin at a 36. They're going to have to work for it. So I think it's going to be closer than Tampa Bay would wish, and it could be who's got the ball last. So the Tampa Bay defense may have to step it up if they're going to shut the Rams down with the passing. We as fantasy players should enjoy the firefight as well. So this is a good game to have lots of pieces of. Arizona and Jacksonville. This could get a little wonky. 33-19. So perception is Jacksonville's not going to do much. Maybe a couple of touchdowns, maybe some field goals. But Arizona is supposedly going to get 5 touchdowns. Okay. The thing is, it's a spread of 7, 52 points over under. The concern I have, if Jacksonville doesn't keep up, Arizona could try to coast. And so this is not as grand a firefight as we want if you've got Arizona pieces. So that would be sucky for fantasy, but I understand, Arizona could get up quick. Arizona is playing away, though. But Jacksonville is a fairly easy defense at an 8-1 overall. Edmonds gets 79, so he's probably in line to score, especially if they get up early. Edmonds they could turn to the running. Connor may even slip in this week if they get ahead early. Quarterback Murray does well. He probably is going to slip one in through the end zone. The tight end, Arizona, Max Williams went up and got 7 targets last week. Does that continue? I picked Max up. This is the first time I've had an Arizona tight end on any of my teams in the last 5 years. But when you see a tight end go from 1 target to 7, he's worth a tight end too. Maybe a stack play with daily fantasy. Wide receiver gets an average game, but Arizona has lots of wide receivers. The trouble is it was a Moore game last week. Maybe it's Kirk this week, or AJ Green, or Hopkins should get at least 1. You think he would get 1, but it could get out of hand quick. Trouble is there's so many good wide receivers, that kind of is hard to guess. I mean, you probably have to play more. You probably have to play D-Hop, even though he had some injury. Green or Kirk? I think if I didn't have anything better, you need to go. You need to play them. But just be aware, there's a lot of mouths to feed. Kicker gets a 96 if you're a kicking premium league. Jacksonville faces down Lawrence. Welcome to the big league, son. A tough defense, but really 54 is about average. The Jackson gets a below average tough. Quarterback gets a 63. That's a little above average, so that's good. And the wide receivers, it's just, again, I think Marvin Jones gets his one, but does Shark or Chenault get one this week? I didn't draft either one of those. I only drafted Jones, so I guess I don't have to worry. But for those that do, it's a coin flip, folks. I don't know. This could get really crazy quick. Tight end, I think you can. I don't know who's the tight end now. I think O'Shaughnessy's hurt and out. So, interesting game. This could go. I think the uncertainty level is high in this game, folks. It could go a lot of ways. I guess if I was stacking, I would probably look for other games to stack in my daily fantasy. Dallas, Philadelphia, one score, basically. 30-22. So basically 5 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns. Dallas is at home. Vegas says it's a shootout. I think Dallas is just going to get in its own way. And Philadelphia's had a tough defense. Philly gets an easy defense. So Philly gets an easy defense that allows them to stay in the game. This game, divisional, it just seems like it's going to be closer than you think, folks. I don't know the how, the why, but that's, given that spread, given that predicted score, that's what I'm thinking. Philadelphia's playing away, but they get an easy defense of 88. Sanders gets an average game, so he could score. Quarterback, Hurts gets a nice game at 80, 79. Tight end, Goddard, Ertz could score. I mean, it looks to me like this is a 4-score game for Philadelphia, not 3. The way it looks, kind of those pieces there, just looks like some tight ends and whatnot. So we'll see. I think it may be closer than we think, maybe closer to 30-27 here. Dallas gets a tough Philly defense, 15. Elliott gets an advantage here, and also the tight end compared to the quarterback at 16 and the wide receivers. So Cooper and Lamb and Cedric Wilson, if he plays, are going to have to earn their kicks. So they're going to struggle and may not get as many points as you think. It almost seems like Elliott, maybe Pollard scores, like 2 scores for the running back. Maybe Dak runs one in, maybe a tight end catches one, and then maybe one of the wide receivers. There's 4 right there. Again, this is one that can be a little bit trickier than you think on paper. If I've got Dallas, I guess you play them. You're kind of stuck. If you drafted Cooper and Lamb, you got to play them. But just your expectations should be lesser than usual. Another kind of wonky game is Baltimore 34 and Detroit barely getting 2 scores at 16. So they're thinking Baltimore just runs it up, and that's what makes it high scoring. Again, when there's this kind of situation, and if Detroit gets blown out, then does Baltimore ease back and try to run it? So that's Detroit performance is going to determine how high this goes. This could go crazy high, or this could be a real snore fest. Okay, so, uncertainty here. Detroit gets an easy offense to play to. Baltimore gets an easy opponent defense to play into. We're talking Detroit gets 110, Baltimore gets 87. So just looking at that, that says scoring early and often. And that's why Baltimore, I think they're thinking they're going to run it up. And look at the running game. Oh my goodness, 120. That sounds like you get 2 scores out of those running backs. The quarterback, 71's nice. The tight ends, maybe Andrews gets a score this week. Okay, I did draft him in a few leagues. The wide receivers going to have to work a little bit more. Watkins and Hollywood, so they get a little bit of a tough, but not really. So I think this could get out of hand, and if that's the case, they may run with maybe somebody like Murray, or was it Tyson Williams? Is that who's? So those guys could slow this game down. Detroit's going to probably have to throw early and often. And Swift gets a 71. He can be viable. I don't know if Jamal, maybe if they get far behind, he comes into play more. It just depends on how Detroit, the ball rolls, because they get a 94 quarterback, a 120 for Hawkinson. You know he's going to get, 120 says 2 scores for me. So I can envision at least 3 scores, so that's 18. So what is it? 3 score, 21. I think Detroit's gonna give Baltimore more than they think. I think Baltimore kind of plays to their competition. So I think if Detroit gives them points, then Baltimore's just going to keep rolling. It's what they did against Kansas City. And I think that's what stacks up. So if Detroit can keep up with them, this could be really the stack of the week, folks. But I think it's definitely high uncertainty as well. So this may be maybe a Detroit stack. What do you think? Think about it. Hawkinson, the running back, kind of stack those together. I don't know. Think about it. So we're now moving to the next plateau down. This is the above average. So you're figuring less of a firefight. Giants versus Atlanta. They're giving Atlanta 3 scores. Based on last week, that seems reasonable. Based on the first week, it doesn't. So which Atlanta shows up? Atlanta's also playing an away game. Giants play at home. So that's going to help the Giants. Both defenses are just leaky like sieves. The Giants have a little tougher. And Matty Ice is throwing picks. So I'm actually playing the Giants, assuming they'll get some picks and whatnot. Atlanta, this could be real crazy. Take a look. The Giant 100 right here. That means you want to play the defense that has a team that gives 100 to the defense, right? So there it is. So that's why I played the Giants defense here, probably in DFS as well. I think it's a good cheap play. Danny Dimes should collect quarters in this game. Look at this, 100. The tight end, they need Ingram bad to take advantage of that. It's a great advantage, but I think all that goes to the wide receivers. Barkley should be active and collect a score or 2. This should be his week. Come on now. 27 may even be a little low. This could go higher than you think, especially if Atlanta shows up kind of like they did last week, and they have an opportunity. Going against an 88, Mike Davis gets an 83, Matty Ice 59. Calvin Ridley is 60. Pitts 97. Pitts could get 2 scores. I think Mike Davis early will you hope collects his, because I think later Atlanta's going to be passing. So if you got Davis, if you don't have a better shot, watch early, because that's going to probably tell you how the game goes. This could go higher, but this could really, Atlanta could fold like a cheap suitcase here. And the Giants could just coast on in. Tennessee and Indianapolis. Who's the quarterback? Is Wentz going to play? I heard he practiced. What, he had a double sprain or something? What the hell? This is Indianapolis. The only way Indianapolis beats is Wentz is healthy enough to take advantage of this 93 situation here. And it won't be Taylor. Taylor gets an average. Look at the quarterback and the wide receiver hookup. Pascal and Pittman should get 2 to 3 scores, folks, right here, if Wentz plays. If somebody else plays, I don't know, Hundley, Eason, I don't know, I don't know who the quarterback is they signed off the street Saturday. I don't know what's going on. If Wentz can stay healthy, this can be closer than this score. But right now, the score is baked in that Wentz probably doesn't play. But it's a nice scenario if he does. So if he's a go, you want Pittman and Pascal in there. They should score at least 1 apiece. Taylor could even score. Tennessee, Tannehill should collect. And A.J. Brown and Julio, with an 85, they should get double scores here. And, by the way, Indianapolis, I did pick up Doyle, but this is probably an off week for Doyle as your tight end 2 type. The tight end in Tennessee, they got Jonnu out of the way, so far nobody stepped up. This is what I see right here. Henry, does he have a letdown? Only 2 scores? So I think some of this 29 is baked in that Henry gets 2 scores, but he's an average game. Yeah, he could do that. So this could get crazy early, and that's really going to put pressure. And if that happens and Wentz tries to stay in there and play, he could get a lot of pressure on his injuries. So I probably would not be playing Wentz. I'd play Pittman maybe and Pascal, Taylor, but I wouldn't play Wentz this week. I think Tennessee has the 1-2 punch with the wide receivers and Henry. So I think I'm off on Wentz this week. Green Bay woke up last week and they're figured by 1 touchdown. Green Bay is playing away though. Boy, they look terrible in an away game. So assuming that wasn't them, then they should do well. But I think Frisco could upset if Green Bay doesn't handle the focus of an away game. And the 2 offenses you see is light red. That means they're fairly tough. So 56-60, 2. So that means that's why this is above average. There's not a great advantage here. Aaron Jones, look at this. This is what, if I had Rodgers, be aware this could be an Aaron Jones double score game. Look at the wide receivers. Could be Tanyan instead. I think in the S, I'd play Tanyan, or in a tight end premium, I might slip him in my flex. Right there, 69. So Adams can do against a 10, but he's going to have to work for his touchdown. So there's a lot of uncertainty here as I Ouija out. I don't know if that's a real word, but Ouija board out this. This seems kind of tricky here, but it. By the way, San Francisco, talk about Kittle. Look at this. San Francisco 62, so Mitchell gets a nice score. Jimmy G gets a 78. Kittle. If Kittle does not do well now, I misdrafted. Fortunately, I didn't draft him in a lot of my leagues. I think I got him in a couple out of 50, but I feel for you that have Kittle. So if he doesn't score 1 to 2, it's not a good game for Kittle. And the wide receivers, they've been kind of funky. 14. I don't think Frisco, if Green Bay was like they were last week, Frisco can't keep up with them. If Green Bay was like week 1, Frisco could beat Green Bay. So that's what you're gambling on if you're gambling on this game. So this spread is kind of trying to say this is the average situation. But I think it's more of a barbell situation. It's kind of either slam dunk for Green Bay or they're struggling like week 1. So we haven't figured Green Bay out yet, especially away games. Now we're into below average, 46 below to about 42. 31 to 16. They're thinking Chicago's just not going to be able to do it. Chicago does, however, get an easy Cleveland defense, 62. Montgomery faces a 31, so he could be quieter this week. Quarterback's a 95. The tight end, Kimmett, he's been bottled up. Allen Robinson, 58. This looks more like the Chicago's be passing all day, all night. So if Montgomery can't catch passes out of the backfield, he could be shut down. Cleveland fights a tougher Chicago, 58. Chubb and Hunt have to fight through a 19. That's tough. But Mayfield gets an average game. His tight ends, they've been using a lot, but they got a tough row to hoe, 30. Looks like the wide receivers. So OBJ is coming in at the right time. I just don't know. Is he ready? This score reflects OBJ getting a score, probably even 2 scores. That's how I'm reading that Vegas is thinking. I don't know. So that's the uncertainty in this whole game, is how ready he is. But he could really light it up. I think if I was in a tournament play, I'd play OBJ, maybe stack him with Mayfield and go for it. Yep. And I might even do the opposite, do a Mayfield, OBJ, and maybe Kimmett or Allen Robinson, kind of assuming this game gets crazy and passing fireworks. Buffalo, Washington lucky to get 2 scores. They're thinking Buffalo just marches all over it. 32 is assuming Washington can at least put pressure on them. But Washington's defense has been weak sauce. And Buffalo's has been smothering. So Buffalo gets an easy. Washington gets one of the toughest Ds in the league. Look at this. So Buffalo looks like it won't. Singletary, you're going to have to earn your cookies here. It looks to me like it's the Allen, Diggs, Beasley, whoever show, Gabriel, whoever, right here. So we're talking Beasley, Diggs could have 2 scores here, folks. This could be your stack. Washington gets a 0. Oh my goodness. Logan's going to have to work, and the wide receivers. This is going to be a struggle for Washington. Look at the run back. Gibson and McKissick. I believe McKissick's got a shot at being a pass catcher. Gibson's going to have to work to rush. I think you're going to switch to pass catching to make all this work. Just to let y'all know, I just got a Twitter thing. Elijah Mitchell is doubtful to play, folks. So when I said Frisco, looks like Trey Sermon is cleared. So Frisco's going to have to rely on him. Not sure that really is going to matter much. Go back and review that game with that information. Okay. I don't know if this game is as high scoring as people think, because Buffalo could really punish Washington and Washington not really score much of anything. This could be a really devastating situation here. Las Vegas versus Miami. Miami gets at best 3 scores. Vegas gets 4 scores or more. Miami's an away. Raiders at home, but both have fairly tough offenses. Look at this. Still below average, though. Hopefully Jacobs is back here. If not, maybe Drake slips in with a 100. He should get a score or 2. Pretty tough QB here, folks, 35. Look at Waller, 57. There's your scoring right there, Waller, 1-2. They've been using their running backs and tight ends much more than the wide receivers. I don't see anything here that says that doesn't continue. Raiders could put the whooping to Miami because I think Tua is out and Brissett is in, and he could be throwing picks, and that's why I did pick up the Raiders as well, just to take advantage of that. Miami with Gaskin gets a 72. The trouble is Miami's going to need some pass catching. I know Fuller's back, and they get an average game of 56, so I think this is going to evolve into Brissett's just throwing and gunslinging and hoping. I was hoping Grosecki would get a good second game, but this is tough. He might still score, but he's going to earn his Wheaties at going against the 26th. This looks like a 2-score Waller day with a Jacobs Drake kind of a rushing play that they keep Miami bottled up and catching Brissett's interceptions and getting pick sixes. Pittsburgh 27, Cincinnati 18. They're assuming Big Ben is not as injured. I heard he's having some issues and is pain throwing, so we'll see if they take the needle and wake his shoulder back up, get him game ready. Cincinnati gets an easy shot, so that means what, 4 scores versus 3, maybe 2, but it's still below average. So I think they're saying Cincinnati gets bowled over by Pittsburgh's passing. But if Ben is not doing well, then this is probably closer than people think. Cincinnati gets an easy Pittsburgh 71. Mixon has another long day. Looks like it's passing Look at this. Jamar Chase, I think, is Higgins. Higgins out? I think he is. So that means the tight end could score. Uzama? Is that who's playing? And then Chase, maybe Tyler Boyd gets a couple. That's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can see 3. Yeah. And Pittsburgh gets a tough Cincinnati. Harris gets an average game, so he could still do something. 63 for the wide receivers. If Ben can deliver and get up early, then I think it can be a double score Harris day. If they can shut Cincinnati down. Trouble is, at a 71, there's nothing in this defense data that says Cincinnati won't be able to try to keep up. So I think this is going to be last possession wins the game kind of thing. I think it's closer than people think, and Pittsburgh's not going to be as dominant with Ben if Ben is not doing well. But it is a home game for Pittsburgh. Ben wakes up for that. Says Mari Cooper's ready to go. That's good. You hear my little squeak. That's Sleeper. Subscribe to get little tweets. New England, New Orleans. What do we get? It's kind of like the opposite of Green Bay. Who do we get? The Panthers are a good defense. Green Bay was awful week 1. So do we get it in between? Here's what it comes up. It says New England beats them 4 scores versus almost 3 for New Orleans. That's on average. I think it could be really crazy with New England, and New Orleans could be really sucky. New England fights a tough New Orleans, 30s and 20s, except for the wide receivers. So Meyer may get a nice average game for wide receivers there, so that could be interesting. Henry and Sanu could score. Trouble is, which one? I don't know. You pick them. Harris is going to work hard, so I guess this is going to be a James White kind of game as well, catching passes out of the backfield, folks. That's how New England's going to have to roll here against New Orleans with its tough D. That's what it looks to me. It's passing, passing, passing. New Orleans is also going to have to be using Kamara going against a 42. So Kamara's going to be their show. Can he handle the load? I just don't know if he can. I don't know if he can score 3 scores to keep them in the game here. Not sure. Quarterback Winston is probably going to lose some interceptions. New Orleans tight ends, a 13. The wide receivers, Callaway, 22. This is not the get well week for New Orleans, folks. This is the crush their soul week. So who's Belichick going to take? I think he's going to try to take out Kamara, folks, and make Winston pass. And I think that's not going to work out well. Tony Jones could surprise us, or Ty Montgomery catching a pass or 2 out of the backfield, getting an accidental score. Maybe that's the gamble. It's below average anyway, but I think if you told me it was 40-0, it wouldn't surprise me. I think it's hard to imagine a scenario unless there's an injury where New Orleans can beat New England at home. Without Michael Thomas, just not seeing it. Finally, the last last game here is Denver 32. The Jets, maybe they'll let them get a score. The Jets should be crushed like bugs. No, I'm sorry, Jets. Come on, Jets. You weren't good last year. So, not like bugs. That's sad. Denver 32, that means what? 5 scores? 11 on the spread. That's one of the highest spreads. The only reason this is low scoring is Jets are not going to score much. That's the perception out of Vegas, folks. Denver gets a home game, but the Jets are kind of tough. But look at Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. That sounds like 2 or 3 scores for the running backs here, folks. I'm not sure the quarterback's going to do a lot. Fant gets a 40. So Fant scoring. The running backs are scoring. Maybe Sutton and them are tough enough to fight through a 10. But this, I'm not sure Denver needs to score 32 to win. Don't think so. Jets should be crushed by the defense. 10, 15, 34. The best, the Jets here, 40 right here with the wide receivers. So Jets are going to be passing all day, all night. So I guess if they get lucky and get some bombs, that's going to force Denver. I think Denver's going to get up and they're going to say, Jets, come get us. And then I think Denver is going to game manage. And I'm not sure they're going to get 32 to 10. That sounds like a really high level score for this game. Could work out way differently. Could be so. I would definitely be playing Denver's D here, I think. Okay, that's my matchup diatribe. Okay, so here we go. I'll put this out tomorrow, Saturday, so I'm putting out my rankings. Not going to really talk about those. I'll just have a table that's sortable so you can kind of think about some of the games to focus on and look at the rankings. And, I'll do my best. And I've got uncertainty levels as well for each player. So if that helps you break some ties, use that. Okay, come back for next week. I wish you good luck. Let's crush week 3. Let's do this. Take care. Dr. Bush for the process. Signing off.